I want to talk about that when I came in this physical earth, I saw contrast.
Good. It was here just waiting for you.
Yeah.
Come on down. It's not down really, but that's your image.
Well, what I'm here to, I listen to your materials every day and I'm practicing, and it has really a relationship, health, abundance, everything has exponentially has increased, and I really appreciate that. And you explain it so clearly, and I really, really appreciate that. I come from a place that, from spirituality, from Middle Eastern, from Sufism, from all different kind of background. And I grew up in Sweden, and I was raised there, and I saw races, and I saw religions, I saw struggle, I saw starvations, I saw wars, I saw destruction. All of these combined gave me this clarity, problem that you just mentioned. And I saw, is there a way that when 9/11 happened, I was around 22, about 15 years ago, and really kind of gave me, daunted to me, human history is filled with wars and destructions and killings. Is there a way that we can experience peace? Is there a way that there's going to be peace? And seeking for answer, asking for that.
Yes.
And
do you have another question?
The answer for me came unity, and I'm an artist, and my passion, and I expressed that solution. And I created half an acre artwork made of 2,000 paintings for 15 years. I've been working, and when you put them together.
So here's the answer to your question. Do we have to have so much unpleasant contrast in order to have expansion? Does it really need to be like that? And the answer to that is no. It doesn't have to be such harsh contrast. But still, let's not put contrast in a category of badness. Let's keep contrast in the category of helpful and beneficial. Let's just do that. And then let's talk about how, as an individual or as collective consciousness, you could manage the contrast in a way that would serve you without having to go so far down a path of unwanted. Now, stay with us just a little bit, because if there was ever a time that this conversation would be appropriate and soothing and therefore beneficial, this is that time. So let's just take a little bit here and let's chew this over really good. We like the way that you've presented it here. Do you? We're going to start with some basic premises, and then we're going to get right to what you're asking for. So if you begin, and we know you are, with the understanding that you are the attractor of your own reality, and then you accept or acknowledge that everyone else on the planet is too. And then you accept that you came with differing intentions, with different desires, with different categories of desire. You came with such a mixture of intentions. So let's just start there. Now we want to talk to you about law of attraction. All right, we already did. And now we want to talk to you about the thing that is most significant about law of attraction, and that is the momentum within it. And by that we mean, if you focus on a desire and then you focus upon a thought or a belief that is contradictory to that desire, the desire does not gather any momentum, because you went that way and then you went that way. So now we want you to think about the wisdom of being aware early in a moment. We don't mean early in your life. It's too late for that. You already got too many bogus beliefs going on that are in your way. So let's not worry about catching you early. We didn't catch you early. We caught you now, and you're wherever you are, and it's perfect. But when you catch something early, we mean emotionally. So let's say it's early in the day, before you've reactivated the things that are bothering you so much. And we want you to focus on the emotion of satisfaction. So there's satisfaction and less than, or there's satisfaction and more than, but let's just talk about satisfaction. So if you're asking yourself on a really regular basis, if the way you are feeling in this moment is satisfied or more, or satisfied and less, and you're catching it in those early stages, you've got control at that place. Let's say someone just expresses an opinion to you, and the opinion is unsettling to you because it doesn't happen to be an opinion that you hold. if you're aware of it right then, you can catch it and you can find satisfaction anyway. But if something has gone so far that it's really pushing your buttons in a really strong and powerful way, it's going to be maybe not even possible for you to find a satisfying thought about that. You would have to change the subject. And if you really care about managing your relationship with your inner being, then you might change the subject in order to stay satisfied. Your kids do it all the time. When you're harping at them about something, they just tune you out. And you look at that blank look on their face, and you're annoyed that they're not giving you their undivided attention, but they cannot listen to you and stay satisfied. So they're smart enough to ignore you. And that's what we wish for all of you, that you care about that. But you've got to catch it in the early stages, because if you don't, then momentum will carry you away. Now, there are some things that we want to say about this. When you have a really strong desire, the absence of it is really uncomfortable, and other way around. In other words, if you've got a strong belief that is contradictory to your desire, you can really, really feel it. So the answer to your question is yes, it is possible to be an individual in this time-space reality who manages your vibrational frequency in such a way that you can be satisfied in a little less and lean towards satisfaction, and satisfied in a little less and lean towards satisfaction, and your life would just incrementally continue to improve. You would just live happily ever after while you are experiencing contrast which you're in control of, contrast that you don't let get carried away from you, and you would find yourself living a wonderful, wonderful life. But humans so often believe that it takes pain to have gain. And so you've learned to endure your negative emotion. You don't see it as the warning bell that it is. You don't see it as the opportunity to maintain your balance. In fact, most humans would rather have negative emotion than no emotion, where what you really want is soft emotion rather than strong emotion. Now, we're going to ask you some questions. Would you rather feel satisfied or powerful love? That's logical, isn't it? Would you rather feel satisfied or dissatisfied? Would you rather feel love or hatred? It's easy to know that, but what if something came up and you felt dissatisfaction and you were focused upon a belief that you've been believing for a long time? It's something that your parents talked about. It's something that people around you talk about. So you focus on it, and it gains momentum. And as it gains momentum, it takes you further and further and further from what you really are and what you really want. But the whole time it's doing it, you're launching all of these rockets of desire. You're asking for more love. The whole time you're moving further and further away from it. You see what we're getting at? So it's not that one is right and one is wrong. It's that the love is natural to the whole of who you are, and the hatred is unnatural to the whole of who you are. But as humans, you've got one foot, especially if you've been listening to us for a while. Most humans don't have one foot in both worlds, and by that we mean understanding your inner being and focused upon what's going on around you. Most humans have got both feet in the physical world, and they're just squabbling over the manifestations with no sense of control or power over things getting better. And here's what we mean by that. Unless you are in the receiving mode and tapped into the energy that creates worlds, you really do not have the power to create your own reality in a way that you are joyful. But that doesn't mean that law of attraction won't amass around you. There's plenty of evidence, if you've got both feet in the world that is all about stuff and all about behavior and all about control and all about trying to get somebody else to believe the way you do, which is a large part, in fact, almost the whole population stands there a good deal of the time, then the one with the most words or the most access or the most attention, they appear to have the most power in that world. But if you just step into the vibrational world where the energy that creates worlds is, that's where your true leverage is. That's where your true power is, you see. So the answer to your question is, you just have to, as an individual, figure out when you have that power and when you don't. And when you have love in your heart, you do. And when you have hate in your heart, you've disconnected from that power for a moment. Don't worry, it won't go away. No one's saying, oh, disconnected, cut them off. Because all of your inner beings are standing there waiting for you to rejoin them in that energy and in that knowledge of who you really are. So, really the answer to your question is it just really depends upon how much torture you're willing to put yourself through for the purpose of your expansion and evolution. And from your non-physical standpoint, when you made the decision to come, you weren't planning on torturing yourself at all. Not one of you said, I'll go forth and I will endure. I will put up with it, and I will suffer, and I will valiantly launch big rockets of desires, and then I will find some way of dragging myself from the momentum of what I don't want into satisfaction, where all of a sudden in one fell swoop, everything will be wonderful for me again. But there is something to be said for when you're really, really hurting over something, you're launching big-time rockets. And when you launch big-time rockets, when you start moving in the direction of those big-time rockets of desires, you feel way, way alive. And that's what humans are sort of addicted to. It's like, and we love you, and we are not disrespecting you with this analogy, but it's like you hit yourself over the head with a hammer, and when you stop, you say, I have seen the light.
Well, the love allowing. 2 weeks ago when I was here, you mentioned satisfaction. You mentioned it so many times. It really made an influence on me. I said, wow, that is very powerful. And I've been kind of practicing.
It's not more powerful than love over hate. It's just you have more control if you catch it there. If you're in the mode of watching something that is full of hate and you're all wadded up about it, you are out of control. You can't drag yourself back into love under those conditions. It's too big. You got to catch it.
So the emotion of satisfaction is more of a fine-tuning?
It's just a smarter use of your understanding of contrast. It's a more effective use of your guidance system. When there's very little momentum, you can stop that car. That was an easy thing to see. And in satisfaction or dissatisfaction, there's so little momentum, it could go either way. But when it's that big, then they'll fight to the death. They'll have a duel. They'll have a war. They'll drop bombs on each other. They'll do everything in order to hold to the righteousness that they believe in. And in the whole process, they lose their connection with Source, and they all stand over there with both feet in the physical world where they're fighting over the spoils, and nobody wins the war. Nobody wins the battle, because winning is about loving. Winning is about satisfaction. Winning is about joy. Success is about joy. It's not about the biggest pile. So when you get the biggest pile of joy, along with it comes the biggest pile of money and the biggest pile of friends and the biggest pile of fun and the biggest pile of all the things that you want. But if you're not looking for the joy first, if you don't have your eye upon the emotional goal, then you get confused and the spread gets too big and you lose control, and then you're trying to stop things that can't be stopped for you, you see. That makes sense? So our direct and specific answer to your wonderful question is, do we have to fight these big wars? Does the contrast have to get so big? No, humans just like the drama. It doesn't have to get that big. And if we could convince you, you see, we stand here knowing what we know, expressing what we know from our point of understanding the laws of the universe. But as far as you are concerned, we may very well just be one more opinion, very sure. It isn't until you find some way through meditation or through basking or however you accomplish it to allow your vibrational frequency to rise to the equivalency of your inner being, so that there's no separation between the vibrational frequency of your broader non-physical self and yourself. It isn't until you accomplish that on a pretty regular basis and then start receiving thought impulses that feel so fantastically interesting or fun that you're willing to follow them. And then you get to witness the results of having done that, that any of this has any meaning